Today we're driving the all-new 2023 IONIQ 6. This is a limited all-wheel drive long range. We're going to walk you around this today, show you what it looks like inside and out. I'm here with Substitute Topher. We're just on a local Hyundai drive event, and we're actually on some pretty decent driving roads. So this shares a lot of components with the Hyundai IONIQ 5, the SUV crossover hatchback. And this is kind of a competitor, though, mostly to the Model 3 and Polestar 2. You can see we have a pretty familiar looking interior with some differences. Nice ambient lighting. We have finally 4 light up dots in the middle. I don't think those lit up in the IONIQ 5.
They didn't light up, but
yeah.
4 dots are more for H.
That's
so
right.
It's like you still have a Hyundai H on your airbag cover.
Exactly.
On the steering wheel.
That's pretty clever. They respond to drive mode selections. So they give you a little bit of information too, which is neat. You guys have seen photos of this IONIQ 6. It's pretty sharp looking. Let's walk outside and show you what it looks like. Really interesting design study here. This one is painted in digital green. It almost looks black.
Super dark green.
It's
and the matching
very
interior
dark.
as well.
I like the contrasting side skirts and kind of lower panels. This is on the 20-inch wheels. So it's rated for 270 miles of range. It has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack. And yeah, I mean, starting price on this, I think, is around $56,000 with destination about $57,400.
I like this bit.
There are 2 spoilers.
Yes, like a RS Koze.
Yeah. The SE rear-wheel drive IONIQ 6, the long range, can get up to 361 miles of range. It's pretty high. And this starts, I think the base model is, what, it's like $42,000 thereabouts. So you can get into this for about the same price as a Tesla Model 3, which is awesome. Let's take a look at the trunk. Decent amount of trunk space. Of course, you are sacrificing a little bit of practicality with this body style compared to the IONIQ 5 in exchange for extra styling and added pizzazz. There are parametric pixels all over this car in the taillights. Yeah, let's turn on the headlights.
Hazards and hit the brakes and stuff so you guys can see them.
Yeah, just turn on the headlights. Turn on everything. Yeah. Really cool design elements in this. How many parametric pixels are there, Chris?
I thought they said 700.
700 all over the car. There's probably a lot in one spot in the interior, but
Yeah, well, this is many here.
there's
That's
a lot. Yeah.
And then here, I'm curious to see what the third brake light looks like lit up. See if it looks cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Okay.
That's very cool. This has a 0.22 drag coefficient.
Yes, but if you have it in other markets with the camera side mirrors, it drops to 0.21.
Wow.
So
That's pretty slippery. Yeah.
very slick.
The 20-inch wheel IONIQ 6 has, I think it's like 0.246. So that's with the 18-inch wheels. A little bit of a distinction there. You lose a little bit of range, you lose a little bit of efficiency with these larger wheels, but they do look pretty sharp. We might get a chance to drive an SE 18-inch wheeled IONIQ 6 at some point this year, so we'll be sure to report back on that. But this dual motor all-wheel drive is what we have today, and that's what we'll be focusing on. Tons of space, at least leg room, in this back seat. Chris is 5'11".
There is just endless room back here.
It feels like they've prioritized leg room over headroom, but you still have enough headroom. There's a little bit of a bump out in the roof.
Yeah, my head touches the ceiling if I sit. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good call.
But you can kind of slouch down and lounge in this thing.
That's
a
true.
little
They
bit.
were the photo they showed the people sitting like this.
Oh wow, kind of
Yeah.
so, jazz club style. These seats don't adjust like they did in the IONIQ 5, so they're just fixed back.
Yep.
This has got a nice armrest / water bottle holder.
Yeah.
USB-C ports all over. Rear climate buttons. We
That's
don't get heated rear seats. That is bright. I love the shape of these lights. That's so cool.
That is surprising actually to see no heated rear seats. And this is a top trim loaded car.
This is fully loaded, yeah.
Little spot here maybe for your phone.
Oh yeah, neat. Look at that. Look at the speaker grills.
Got a Bose 9-speaker, 8 or 9-speaker audio system.
Okay, well, let's test that out.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty cool design study. Talk about just a unique interior space. I mean, it's still pretty similar to the IONIQ 5, but I'm curious to see how this drives. You've driven it already quite a bit.
I have.
And I just drove it around the parking lot briefly. We get the same frunk that we do in the EV6, the IONIQ 5. It's basically just enough space for some paperwork and a bag of snacks. But you can squeeze some things up in here, and the rest is just running gear. We have active aero grills in the front. I assume that's what these are. And then, of course, all of your sensors there for adaptive cruise, lane keep assist, all that good stuff. Cool looking car. Flush mounted door handles that pop out. These are actually really easy to use. I prefer these over the style that like BMW is using, for example.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, well, let's hop inside before the camera gets too wet, and we'll take this thing for a drive. We're on a set of Pirelli P0 all-season tires. And it's actually kind of nice that it's a little bit darker today because we can get a taste of this ambient lighting.
Look at the way this glows out of the door.
I know. And the surfacing right here with kind of the waves is really interesting.
Yeah. Let's see.
A big interior space. I mean, this is very open, and I feel like I have a lot of room in here.
Yeah.
A lot of different colors.
A lot of different colors. Oh, hold on. Oh, check these out.
My.
So these are multicolor.
Oh, okay.
So you've got pink, purple.
Yep.
That's cool. So this is kind of like how Mercedes does. And of course, they give them names.
They said there were up to
Healing
4,000 different combinations or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, healing forest.
Would you like concentration?
No. Wonderful day, though.
Concentrate.
Ooh,
Oh, you want a
that
wonderful
sounds
day.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's orange and red.
Okay. All right. A little bit sporty. I think the classic purple is
gonna
probably
say
the way to
we
go.
gotta have
It looks really
Aurora,
good.
or I think lightning violet is probably the way. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
lightning violet.
That's the one.
Nice. Very flat center stack here. They said that this is probably a good place to put a laptop. That makes sense. There's a decent amount of space in here to put phones, mobile devices. This is lined with some fabric at the bottom. And then we have a really nice, grippy, sticky wireless charger right here. And that really keeps the phone quite well in there. Oh, there's some more parametric lights. Okay, there's some more of them.
Everywhere you look, you see a few more.
Oh, there's even more in these grills. I guess that's just a design
It's
element.
just a piece of plastic.
Someday, maybe next year, April Fools, we'll just go through in a whole video and just count every single one. Make sure they're true to their word. Another cool feature, actually it's not a feature that we get, and it's kind of not cool that we don't get it, but in other markets, you get these wings that are a little bit raised up, and that's actually for the camera mirror display. So other markets will have just a camera there instead of an actual physical wing mirror, and you can see what's in your blind spots right here with the screens. So in the American market, we get those just kind of suggested as a design element, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Also, the carpet is made from recycled fishing nets.
Lots of recycled products.
Yes, many things.
Yeah, the lower paint on the exterior is made from tires or something. Recycled tires,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All the fabrics, all the materials in here feel very eco-friendly, recycled,
I kind of like the
repurposed.
headliner.
Yeah.
It's like a dark gray. You don't see many headliners in this color. Usually they're like tan or
It
black.
feels nice.
Yeah.
You're a bit of a headliner enthusiast, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about headliners.
Chris
but-
likes a dark headliner.
Yeah, these extend, which is good.
Oh yeah, lots of extension there, good. Here's the key. This is interesting. It looks cool.
Yeah.
It is a little bit beat up. It's a bit rough. It's got park in, park out, SMAT pack. Oh, and then we've got centrally mounted window controls, which is kind of neat.
It's like a Jeep.
Yeah, or a Bronco. One thing I don't love is that the lock, unlock buttons are in the center of the vehicle. But I guess you could always go into settings and have the vehicle just unlock everything at once. We've got these nice screens. This is just, I think, one of the most responsive touch screens on sale today, next to Tesla. I mean, this is just fantastic.
Yeah, they keep improving this infotainment, and this newest version feels excellent.
Yeah, I had a Subaru Impreza from 2024, a 2024
From the future.
a future car, and it felt like the screen was from 2004, and this feels current. This feels modern.
Can we put this into dark mode? The white is like, I don't know. You might want the white
There
for your
is,
video, but
yeah, there is probably a dark mode.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Let's see. If we go into setup, vehicle, there's a
screen-
lot of different
screen
settings.
theme.
Screen
Yeah,
theme,
it's probably there. There you go.
black. Oh, there is a dark
That's,
mode.
yeah, I like that better.
That looks sharp. That looks
Yeah.
good too. White. Yeah, let's go into dark mode. I think for today,
Yeah,
that's probably what we want. And you could schedule that with
that's nice.
time and everything too.
Very cool.
Neat. All right, and then of course you've got this calm screen, which is kind of your default space. It shows you your range, 283 miles at 92%. So I have a feeling that 270 mile EPA range figure is pretty conservative, especially with how efficient and slippery this car is, and with the battery pack size. The MPGe numbers on this new IONIQ 6 are really impressive. And of course this has Hyundai's 800 volt, basically just charge 10 to 80% in about 18 minutes, or what do they say, 64 miles in 10 minutes or something? 5 minutes?
65 miles in 5 minutes. And I can attest to this because I took an IONIQ 5 on a road trip from Detroit to Chicago, and that was very true. I pulled into the charge station with 10% and I got up to 80% in 10, 15 minutes.
That's
By the
awesome.
time I was done eating my lunch, my car was charged.
So
Yeah.
you could actually use this.
You can 100% use
As a
this
road trip
car.
vehicle.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All EVs need to be on this level, I
Yeah.
think, as far as charging speed. Okay, enough sitting around chit-chatting. Ooh, that
Ooh.
zooms in and zooms out. That's
That's
fun. You get a little bit of a beep underneath the car. Steering wheel lights turn pink when you're in reverse, and they kind of fade to blue. That's kind of trippy. It's kind of trippy, but it's kind of cool. And then we get turn signal cameras like we do in a lot of Kia Hyundai products. Okay, let's set off and take this for a drive. At speeds below 25 miles per hour, you'll hear a bit of a noise coming from the vehicle just to alert pedestrians that you're driving an EV. It's kind of loud.
It's a little spooky.
It's a bit spooky. And then it just kind of fades away into the distance.
Mhm.
When you turn on the car, it'll default to level 3 regen, and then you can hit the paddle for max I-pedal, one pedal driving, or adjust your regen as you see fit from there. How many horsepower, Chris?
361 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque.
Cool. It's quick, especially off the line. We gotta go into sport mode.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Feels a little bit sharper than the IONIQ 5. The IONIQ 5 was a bit numb, a little bit, I don't know, I'd say just kind of, it just bulldozed over everything. It was very comfortable,
Yeah.
but it wasn't sporty, it wasn't exciting. This adds a little bit more dynamic enjoyment to the mix.
It's properly quick.
It is quick. In normal mode, it actually retains a bit of a rear bias with the all-wheel drive system or the dual motor system. Yeah, it handles well. I mean, nice, taut, tight steering, rides nicely. It feels a little bit hefty, a little bit heavy, but it is an electric car after all.
Yep.
Let's go back, do that one more time.
Yeah. Please. Oh, I can off-road.
That's right. That's all you get. Really smooth blending with the accelerator pedal. I mean, Hyundai does a great job tuning their EVs. I have good visibility out the front. The steering wheel takes a little bit of getting used to. Do you feel like these spokes are a little bit high up?
Yeah, they're a little bit high and the wheel's a little thick.
It is kind of thick.
But the way that you don't have a third spoke, you can kind of rest your hands if you're in a more of like a road trip situation,
That's right.
floating down the highway. So that's nice. And it's flat bottom too, so it looks cool.
Let's turn off our regen and see how this brake pedal feels. A little bit squishy, but it's mostly normal. Once you get going, the power isn't overwhelming or really that impressive, but off the line from a dig, this thing is so fast. Let's just do a quick launch here. No one was behind us. Ready. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
drives like an electric car.
It does.
Really direct steering. Not a ton of feel, but enough to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. Like I can kind of feel that these roads are getting a bit greasy out here
Yeah,
today.
Definitely.
You get different gauge clusters in each respective drive mode. Let's go back into one pedal drive. There's a lot of regen decel, and it seems like we got that right off the bat too. It's not like it's throttling it until the battery pack warms up. The battery management here is really so far ahead of so many other companies. What were we in a few weeks ago that you couldn't get? Oh, it was the BZ4X.
Yeah, the BZ4X.
It wouldn't let you have any regen until you'd driven the car for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, you also
the battery
couldn't
pack
one
was
pedal
warmed
drive.
up. Yeah. So it's really nice that, I mean, you can just get into this and you can set it to one pedal drive, you can set it to two pedal drive, you can kind of customize the driving experience for however you'd like.
I feel also over here that I've got enough distance. Like I don't feel like I'm crammed in here. Pretty open greenhouse and...
Two TOFers aren't two together?
Correct.
All right. No, the interior space is really good.
Yeah,
I think really the only place where you're losing out on a little bit of practicality is the trunk isn't massive, and for taller passengers with at least bigger torsos, rear headroom isn't the best, though it might be just fine for most.
Yeah. Especially if you are lounging.
That's exactly right, yeah. Very, very quiet.
I
in
was just
here.
about to say that. Yeah, it's whisper quiet in this car.
It is. It's almost kind of an ASMR experience.
It is. Probably has something to do with the fact that the car is so slippery, but then also these Pirellis are pretty dang quiet as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, the aerodynamics help. There's very little wind noise at speed. Today we just have ASMR raindrops.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to this video to fall asleep. Post it.
Also check out the Windy Road video.
Yeah. Oh, there's a proper wagon.
Yeah, well done, sir. It looks like a smaller car on the road. It's slightly larger dimensionally than the Model 3 on the outside. On the inside, in some respects it's larger, in some other respects it's smaller. It's roughly the same size as the Model 3 on the interior. Polestar 2 is a bit shorter.
Yeah, they're saying this is like 10 inches longer than a Polestar 2, which is surprising.
Yep. It doesn't have the bigness on the road though as like the IONIQ 5 does.
Yeah.
It's really, it's almost kind of sports car proportions and sizing.
It is.
It's pretty compact.
Sports sedan.
It kind of plays that trick of the interior feels bigger than the exterior.
Yeah.
When you get in, it's huge. Pretty fast steering ratio. I mean, I like driving this a bit more than the IONIQ 5. I think it's a bit more exciting, a bit more engaging. It's not, chattering away at me, but at the same time, it's a little bit sharper, and I think that makes a difference. I'd like to get into an EV6 again, because that, I feel like, was probably dynamically the most enjoyable of the three, but I don't know, this is a little bit tighter, a little bit stiffer, a little bit tauter than the EV6. The EV6 kind of tended to be wallowy and floaty. though we haven't been in the EV6 GT yet, and we're getting to test that in a few weeks.
Yeah, you can like toss the EV6 around though. You can disable everything. Are there any physical controls over by you to disable traction or anything like
Yeah,
that?
there is a traction off button.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, I assume you can kind of do some all-wheel drive hooning in this.
Yeah, Hyundai Kia lets you do that.
Yeah, they do.
Which is nice, because in Tesla, for example, you have to pull a fuse to do anything.
Yes.
That just,
And then Elon gets a notification, and then
and then he bans you
he
from
tweets
charging.
at you.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit more, get a little more freedom. Yeah, first impressions, pretty good on this IONIQ 6. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. It, I think, differentiates itself well from the 5 and from the EV6 and the GV60, which we've both driven.
Yeah, the GV60 is quite a bit of fun. But
It is.
definitely different driving dynamics. I mean, the GV60 is like tall and stubby,
Yes.
and this is very low and sleek.
You definitely feel a lower center of gravity here. It feels a little
100%.
bit sportier. I think the suspension tuning is just about perfect too for what this is. I mean, the IONIQ 5, the EV6 tended to be a little bit too soft in some situations. They were very comfortable, but this strikes a nice balance. Let's go in and test the Bose sound system. We get a volume knob. Really have to applaud Hyundai on their physical button decisions here. I mean, this is such an easy car to use and hop in and live with.
Yeah, and I like this setup better than what Kia's doing.
This is great. Yeah, no screens.
Yep.
There's no guesswork. It just does what you need it to do. That's how it should be. It's quick. I think I could still do with a little bit more power, but maybe we have to wait for the IONIQ 6N.
Yes. Well, they've already teased the 5 in, so.
Yes, that's right. Can't wait. Sound system is decent.
It's decent.
There's not a lot of bass. It doesn't have a lot of depth and richness to it,
It's
but
a little hollow.
it's a little bit hollow and a little bit high.
Not a ton
Right.
of speakers. Not that that matters, but
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything crazy from this. So
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah.
We also get, it's called active sound design. In addition to the sound that it makes at lower speeds, you can also basically just add wind noise. What sounds like wind noise. So this is just, you get one option. I think in the EV6, don't you get a few different
Yeah.
options? Okay. It's very spooky.
Sounds like the intro to a movie.
It does. You can play your own intergalactic sci-fi movie intros with your right foot. We just crossed into another dimension.
You keep reading my mind. I was literally about to say that.
Wow. Cool. I mean,
Interstellar.
it is pretty interstellar.
Yeah.
And then you can also just turn it off. Which is probably how I would drive.
This car is so quiet, it almost feels like a shame to turn these on.
Yeah.
Kind of spoil that.
No, that's true. Let's try eco mode for a little bit. Very, you can keep your foot in the same place on the accelerator pedal, and each drive mode will just give you progressively more acceleration. I haven't moved, and we're either decelerating or going a lot faster. like that you get 3 auto fan speed settings down here.
That is nice.
Manufacturers, take note. Separation of controls, climate control,
Yes.
information, infotainment, CarPlay, center display. This is how you do it. Hyundai is nailing it, and I'm so glad that they have still retained some physical buttons. I mean, this is just, it's a great interior. It looks cool, it's easy to use, and it's got great visibility and functionality. Like, this is awesome. I like this is flat, so that if you were at a charge station, you wanted to pull out your laptop or set up a little tray or something and have some food, you could do that very easily. You set a plate on here or a carry-out container.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just effortless power. Very smooth blending into it. So what do you think? Pretty compelling option. I mean, tons of range. It looks good. It's priced pretty well.
Yeah, I love the design language of this car too. You get the sense that there are people still at Hyundai and Kia and Genesis that really care about enthusiasts still, and they're putting things out that actually look unique, which is important today because everything is just kind of, not everything, but a lot of cars kind of just look the same. So to have something like this that has such bold design language and also is still usable, like when I saw this car at first, I was like, oh, it's going to have horrible blind spots. But open greenhouse in here, it's easy to see out of.
It is, yeah.
And overall, I really, really like this thing.
I think design language is going to have to be this big differentiating factor between EVs because they all do kind of drive about the same.
Yeah.
I will say this does feel really nice and high quality and well built compared to like a Model 3, for example. And maybe even a Polestar 2. I mean, the Polestar 2 can feel a little bit light in some respects and has a bit more NVH over bumps. This is really quiet, really solid. I'm impressed. I think my biggest disappointment with the IONIQ 5, even though I do really like that car, was that it didn't quite drive as well or as cool as it looked. It looked so awesome. And the driving experience was just kind of very normal, very average. It was a bit appliance-like. It was very nice, a very nice driving experience, but lacked kind of that extra flavor and fun factor. And this adds a bit of that in. It's subtle, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough to kind of match the interior, the exterior flavor, the driving experience. It all kind of, it's cohesive and aligns.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Let's see, we also get heated steering wheels, heated and ventilated seats. Okay, that's nice. A lot of settings in this thing. I mean, there is just, you can go crazy with customization with this car. I like that there's a button for your parking cameras.
Yeah, that's nice. I like to have that for when I'm pulling forward somewhere, and especially in a lower car like this, you don't want to scrape the bumper in that parking curb.
I will say traction control, it's slippery out right now. This is kind of, you see the glassy nature to the pavement, and it's slick. So traction control did a nice job limiting wheel spin there.
It sets you back.
It does.
Even in Eco. Are you in Eco?
I think I'm in normal.
You were in normal.
I was in normal, yeah. Yeah, and the cool thing about this, because of the charging capabilities, is that you could use this. It's not just an around town car. If you wanted to take a trip in this, you wanted to drive a few hours, you could.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that I would necessarily want to do all the time, just because the network is still a bit untrustworthy. But it's nice to know that you have the capabilities. And tell me about your experience driving the IONIQ 5 out.
So yeah, the IONIQ 5 did just about its EPA estimated range for me.
And that was on the highway.
That was on the highway, and it still read out exactly what it was supposed to, so that was good. And the The whole experience was super smooth. I was very shocked. I was very scared because, you know,
Sure.
Charlie is
That was your first trip in an EV, a long road trip.
First ever road trip in an EV, and Charlie's all, you'll be fine, it's so easy, because he used to have a Tesla, so he did it all the time.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, this isn't a Tesla, you know, I'm scared of the infrastructure, you know, you never know when these EA chargers are going to be working or not. And it went just about as smoothly as it could have. I pulled up, the chargers were at a Sam's Club, and there was like a Chick-fil-A across the street. I went and got food and hung out.
Couldn't do that in the
That's
IONIQ 5.
excellent. But, I mean, long story short, everything went smooth. The car charged from 10 to 80 in 15 minutes or whatever.
Cool.
And it worked out perfectly. I was charging next to someone in a Chevy Bolt, and I pulled in, plugged the car in, ate my lunch, unplugged, and he had probably only gained like 5% at that time. And he's looking at me like,
You're done already?
yeah,
Yeah, at 50 kilowatts.
yeah. So
That's great. No,
they are certainly usable.
that is good to hear. I mean, we've still got a long ways to come with infrastructure and EVs, but cars like this and cars like the Model 3 help. They help make it easy for those early adopters.
Mm-hmm. That felt really flat around that corner.
It
too.
did, yeah. There's not a lot of body roll here, not as much body motion here as the other two options. The more time I spend here, the more I like it. This feels great.
Yeah.
And we've got this cool little toggles, like column mounted shifter here.
Though it is inherently backwards.
It is a bit backwards,
Yeah.
but you get used to it very
Yeah.
quickly because down is reversed, forward is drive.
Yeah.
Do another skid.
Limited you a bit there.
Just a bit. Yeah, I feel like you could get a little bit ill and this with the acceleration after a few minutes. Oh, man.
Yeah, with the perforated seats, you definitely don't want that to happen.
Exactly. Chris, were you cleaning up some perforated seats earlier this week?
I'm a little bit triggered.
Yeah, you've got
by the
some trauma there.
Yeah, definitely.
Spilled a smoothie in a car.
Yeah.
And that was
It's a first for me.
yeah.
Never spilled anything in a car. I've got a good amount of adjustment over here, even on the passenger seat. You get, of course, power function, forwards and back, for seat back and seat bottom, but you also get lumbar.
Oh, that's
which
nice.
is not common. You usually don't see
That's
lumbar
true.
adjustment on passenger seats, so that's nice to see.
So we don't get rear heated seats, but we get lumbar adjustment.
Yeah, well, win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you have this over a Model 3?
I haven't driven a Model 3, so I'm not sure.
I
I've driven a
think-
Model Y. I'd have it if the Model 3 is anything like the Y, which I'm sure it is.
I think I'd have this over a Polestar too, maybe.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think the Model 3 is more exciting to drive dynamically. It's a little bit sharper, a little bit better.
Yeah.
But this is such a nicer built car. The quality here is just so much higher than what the Model 3 puts out.
No
So
squeaks, no rattles.
yeah,
Nice feeling eco materials that are made from various recycled items.
yeah.
Feels nice.
No, I think we finally have a proper Model 3 competitor here in the
Mhm.
IONIQ 6. So we'll end on that note.
Yeah.
On that revelation. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. This has been Substitute Topher and me out on this drive today, just kind of getting some first impressions on this new IONIQ 6, and excited to spend some more time on this and drive some of the other models. The long-range rear-wheel drive SE.
Intriguing.
I think that's very intriguing because you can get into that for low to mid $40,000. It has mid to high 300 miles of range. It's rear-wheel drive, which is probably the way to go with these skateboard, EV platforms, there's so much weight evenly distributed in the car that rear-wheel drive really, it puts its power down great. It handles well in the snow. It's not that much of a concession versus dual motor all-wheel drive, and it's a lighter package. It's just kind of, it makes a lot of sense. So we'll see. We'll report back when we drive some other variants. But until then, that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys later.
It's polite.
Yeah, it's very polite. So many pixels. I guess I also have parametric pixels on my sweater today. Yeah, and it just kind of overall feels lighter too than the IONIQ 5. Like there's not a same heft to everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of about the right size for a sedan like this. All good things. Any complaints?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to find little petty things when you've only done, an hour in the car.
Sure, I know, it's true.
Yeah, once we live with it, we might be able to find a couple of things.
I think I'd probably swing for a car with 18-inch wheels with the more aerodynamic rims, but
yeah, these are cool looking though.
they do look
I like the way
good.
those look.
They kind of look like the Elantra N wheels,
they're
honestly.
N-ish.
Yeah. My only complaint is that they haven't come out with the N yet.
There you go.
Because that is going to be the jam. If it's anything like the EV6 GT that we get to experience in a few weeks, yeah, there's going to be something special here.
All right.
Okay, that's actually the end of the
Topher's
video.
out.
Topher's out. We'll see you guys later.